Back with another album review. Today's review is on Revelations from Audioslave. This was the third and final album from Audioslave. It was recorded between October of 2005 and January of 2006 at the Henson Recording Studios in Los Angeles. It was later released on September 4th, 2006 under Interscope and Epic Records. It was produced by Brendan O'Brien, who had previously worked with Rage Against the Machine. During the making of this album, Audioslave were influenced by music from the 60s and 70s. Chris Cornell went as far as to incorporate 70s and 70s funk and R&B type vocals. They also took influence from the works of Led Zeppelin. The majority of the songs contain influence from both soul and funk music. And this album also contains themes of love, loss, and life. There are also songs on this album that focus on politics. To promote the release of this album, a fictional utopian island in the South Pacific called Audioslave Nation was created for Google Earth. Now, this album was met with mostly positive reviews from critics. And it also peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200. Around this was Audioslave's least successful album, selling only 142,000 copies during the first week. It was later certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America. Now to discuss the songs. The album starts with the appropriately named Revelations, which obviously shares the same name as the album. The song was released as a single in November of 2006 and was the final single from Audioslave. The song starts with a slightly flanged pregio from Tom Morello. After a repeat of that, it comes with the main riff joined by drums and bass. Tom later does a guitar solo. I really like how the lyrics are in the song. Chris Cornell does an amazing job, as usual. There's also a music video that premiered in November of 2006, and I'll link it in the description. I'd also like to add this is one of my favorite Audioslave songs. The next song is One and the Same. The song really shows where the elements of funk come in, and why the album is partially centered around funk metal. The elements of funk are also displayed in the song Sound of a Gun. The next song, Until We Fall, is where the influence of R&B comes in. The fifth song is called Original Fire. The song ended up being released as a single on July 17th, 2006, just 3 days before Chris Cornell's birthday. The single was also released less than 2 months before the album. Tom Morello did describe the song as being centered on hard rock with influences of soul and funk music. There was also a music video made for the song that was directed by Paul R. Brown, who also directed videos for other artists such as Motley Crue, Slipknot, Green Day, Device, Smashing Pumpkins, and Jerry Cantrell, just to name a few. The music video also shows the band performing with images of famous people who were inspirations for the song, such as Johnny Cash, Sonic Youth, Nelson Mandela, Chuck D, The Clash, Jello Biafra, Jim Morrison, Andy Warhol, Ozzy Osbourne, Janis Joplin, Joey Ramone, and Malcolm X, among others. And I'll link the video in the description. Broken City, Shape of Things to Come, and Jewel of the Summertime also show influences of funk. Wide Awake has more of an influence on soul rather than funk. I like how the song sounds. There's also where you hear Audioslave's political activism, since the song uses then U.S. President George W. Bush and the Hurricane Katrina disaster as subject matter. And Nothing Left to Say Goodbye goes back to having influences of R&B. Just listening to it gives the listener the feeling that Audioslave are going to split up. And that's exactly what happened 5 months after this album was released, but I'll get to that later. The grand finale of this album is a song called Moth. Audioslave had already finished recording this album, but Brendan O'Brien requested that they do one more song for it. This is where Moth comes in. The song contains influences of R&B and it feels very atmospheric. This would also be the final song that Audioslave would record together, and it turned out great. Overall, I consider this to be the best album that Audioslave ever made, even though my personal favorite is Out of Exile. Surprisingly, Audioslave didn't go on tour to promote this album despite the positive feedback. However, they did go on hiatus to allow Chris Cornell to do the song You Know My Name for Casino Royale. Well, I'll get to that in a later video. Tom Morello also went off to do a solo project called The Night Watchman, but that's a story for another day. Fast forward to February 15th, 2007, when Chris Cornell announced his departure from the band due to musical differences and personality conflicts. After Chris left, Zach De La Rocha had returned, and Rage Against the Machine had reunited. Although Rage Against the Machine didn't release any new material, they did perform live performances up until they disbanded once again in 2011. Just said that this is the final album that Audioslave would ever make, that there would be no more material from them. However, Chris Cornell did work on some material that came after this, and we'll be checking some of that out next time. I highly recommend buying this album and giving it a listen. That's all I have to say on this album. If you like the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And be sure to hit the notification bell to be notified of future uploads. Leave a comment if you like. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back on Wednesday with another review.